Check, check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Just Breathing Live. It's not really an episode because we are live, so I'm not recording it. Not used to doing live stuff, so yeah. But we're back on another Wednesday evening. It's a beautiful day, 80 degrees here in Pennsylvania. It's pretty awesome. I work mostly inside, but regardless of that fact, it's still a very nice day. One thing to note, if you see this mic dropping during this YouTube live, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I just posted on social media a picture of my setup. If you want to see how I'm set up tonight for this YouTube live, you can head over there and check that out. It's pretty janky. I'm not going to lie. I got a lot of good technology. I got a really nice microphone. I got a nice board for the audio. I got, a nice streaming software. I got a nice camera that I'm streaming from. But yeah, the setup, I have 2 chairs right here that are holding my laptop and my mixer, and I'm sitting on the same chairs that are holding those. So this is where we're at right now. The one thing that I think is kind of cool, though, is, and I said this in my post, I'm excited to have these types of times. I can't do this. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry about the audio. I'm sorry. I'm just going to hold it and do it this way because this thing's kind of annoying me. This is not my regular mic stand. I just found this mic stand and am using it for the purpose of this YouTube live. But yeah, like I was saying, so I wanted to show you my janky setup, and I wanted to document it myself in my social media so that I could have those pictures when hopefully one day I'm in a better space. I've been doing this a while. I'm not starting out these podcasts with no understanding of what I'm going to do. And yeah, I can look back fondly on these times and say, that was fun. So yeah, welcome back to another episode. Dang it, I did it again. Whatever. Welcome back to another episode of Just Breathing Live. And yeah, so tonight, I'm not going to be on for that long. If no one comments any topics or questions or anything like that, I'm only going to be on here till probably 6:30, and then I got to go do something. So I won't be here as long as I am sometimes. Um, One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about um, this past week is just some of the absurdity that I see in a lot of. I'm not talking about politics. I don't want to get into that much tonight. I've been really thinking about a lot of the absurdity of some of the arguments that I see people make in regards to politics, and it's really, I don't know. It's just been I've been noticing it, and I've just been kind of fascinated by the way that all of our brains can work in different ways. Like all of our brains can compute different outcomes or can compute different answers or different logic and it be truth to us. And this is such a, I don't know, it's such an interesting thing to ponder because I don't know, for me thinking about this and just trying to be more aware of it as I listen to people, especially people that I don't agree with on whatever topic it is, allows me to have some better, not it's not empathy, it's not any emotional thing like that. It's more of like a logical understanding that some people just come to different conclusions with all of the same examples, all of the same information laid out before them. And they might come to those conclusions from different places. May it be their personalities are different, or, they were raised a different way, or whatever. Things happen to them in their lives, so they just have certain backgrounds that they're coming from. But all of those factors factor into one person believing one thing and another person believing something completely different with the same information presented to them. And it's such a fascinating thing because we do everything in binaries right now, especially in politics, where we just are like, these people believe this, so they're bad, and these people believe this, so they're bad, and the only way to believe is this way. And I think there are definitely some issues where I'm not very open, or I'm not very, what's the right word? I'm not very, I'm definitely very closed, and I'm very secure, and I'm very solid on what I believe and why I believe it and the evidence that concurs with my beliefs. There's a whole host of things that I could get into that, presented with any argument from the other side of that thing that I believe will not sway my beliefs. Because I have a counter to every argument. I know some of the other side's arguments to this issue better than they do most of the time. So you're not going to sway me in any way when it comes to that thing. But there are some issues that I am more open to having someone present to me something different than what I believe, and I'm open to saying maybe I don't understand this fully, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the evidence, I haven't really researched it, and I'm more open to saying I don't know when it comes to this issue. And I just think like in those types of cases, me looking at another person and saying, okay, right now I don't agree with them, because I just have been told that this is what you should believe. But at the same time, I'm not very knowledgeable, so I'm just going to look on what evidence they're presenting. Maybe I won't agree with it, but I also want to factor in some of the things in their lives or their backgrounds or their upbringing and all of that type of stuff that led them to this conclusion. Because maybe there's something valuable in there, either a life experience that informs their belief systems or, life experience. Did I just say that? But yeah, whatever it is, in their upbringing or their experiences that informed their conclusions on said issue. And I just think this is something that doesn't often get factored in because it's usually just emotions or statistics or facts or, rationalizations and just things like that. And I just think it's a cool thing to just be aware of as you listen to people that have very strong, ideas on certain topics or ideas on certain issues that get discussed often in our world. I think it's just something that I'm exploring right now. I don't know if it really, has any real, substantial thing to add to facts, to statistics, to evidence, to any of these things. But at the very least, it at least keeps me from just judging people because I'm using people to help me better understand whatever's being discussed, whatever topic is being debated about, whatever conversation is happening about said issue. Yeah. So that's just something that I've been thinking about and have been more aware of. Like if I'm listening to a podcast and there's people disagreeing on something, instead of just being like, okay, because it's very easy to know sometimes where people fall on an issue and what all of their answers are going to be, what all of their evidence are going to present, what all of their analogies they're going to present are. Like, for example, abortion. I feel like I'm beating around that issue just because it's like top of mind for me, just because I listened to two people have a very civil debate on it the other day on a podcast. And it was interesting to listen to because I already knew who I agreed with from the start of the conversation, like the start of that topic in the conversation. But at the same time, I made myself not make assumptions about the other person who I de facto disagreed with because I agree with this person. And I said, let me listen to how they came to these conclusions. Let me see what life experiences, what from their upbringing, what from things that they have discovered from a lot longer of a life than me made them come to these conclusions. And for the most part, in this example, I didn't really gain too much more from their life experiences or from, the things that they brought to that conversation and to that debate. But it was a practice, and I was like, okay, I like listening to debates, and I like listening to people converse about things more in this way, where I'm allowing space for that to factor in to the facts and to the evidence and to the arguments that people are presenting. Just because I think it humanizes the arguments. A lot of times we try to remove human from issues like abortion is a very human issue. And I think if anybody was honest on both sides, they would say, yeah, it's a very human issue. On the pro-choice side, um, it's very scary that a person that's not ready to have a baby is pregnant. That's scary. And I'm leaving out, the prime examples like rape and incest that always get brought up as the main analogy when trying to argue for why you should be pro-choice when it comes to abortion. Because the vast majority of abortions are contraception. I think it's like 98% of all abortions don't have to do with rape and incest. That's the examples that get thrown out. The majority of them, though, are not because of that. It's more convenience, contraception. People are just not ready to have kids. It's not a great fighting stance when it comes to the argument of should you be allowed to have an abortion or not. But that's facts. But I have to come to that argument from the human perspective that yes, it is difficult when you find out that you're pregnant because it's a huge responsibility to have a kid. So just injecting human into, maybe I don't agree. I'm more pro-life. I believe that there is a human, even if you don't see it as a human at the beginning, we don't, in any other species of mammal, say when a dog is pregnant that it's just a clump of cells. It's okay to abort those clump of cells because you don't want your dog to have puppies. We don't do that. And if we did do that, we would be cruel. But for some reason, we've manufactured these sort of fetus and clump of cells and all of these sort of what it actually is, which is a baby. We've taken that word out because it's difficult to say, we just want to kill a baby. And make that argument. That's more truthful. It's more truthful to just say that. But anyways, we could go on for a while on the abortion thing. But what I'm trying to say is, even though I am pro-life and I disagree with the pro-choice arguments, and I know them all, I still should come, even if when I converse with somebody, I should be so concerned with how they have come to their conclusion. Like if I'm talking to someone who's pro-choice, how did you get there? Is their life experience that led you to this conclusion? What is it? Because maybe at the very least, I could have more compassion and empathy for that person and their perspective. The debate I saw was on Joe Rogan the other day with, I forget the guy's name. I think Seth Dillon. He's the CEO of the Babylon Bee, which is a Christian, kind of conservative, satirical website. And they had this abortion debate, and it was very interesting. It was very enlightening to kind of see that happen because you don't see that debate happening anywhere. You see people yelling at each other. You see people arguing on, in Congress about it and in the Supreme Court and all of these different areas, but you don't see people have a civil conversation. And they had their conversation. They even acknowledge, we're good, right? Wow, this can still happen. And it was awesome. It was really cool to see. But yeah, I don't know. So that conversation, and I just have been thinking for a while that I really want to make sure I remember that humans are involved in all of these things and topics and arguments and, I don't know, just things that we care so much about and debate so furiously. There are humans involved, and it's good to remember that. It's good to take all of that stuff into account. Yeah. What else? I feel like stuff gets real serious and real You kind of lose a vibe a little bit if you talk about abortion, and maybe you should. Maybe you should, because it's a difficult topic, and it's something that um, should be talked about in a serious way, and in a way that factors in that you're talking about a deeply human issue that is tough. It is a difficult issue. Um, I don't think it's a difficult debate, honestly. Um, I heard Joe Rogan's position when he talked to Seth Dillon about it, and like honestly, I thought Seth Dillon did a really good job. I've kind of been in those scenarios before, and I kind of know what Joe Rogan was going to say, and he said all of the arguments that I expected him to say, and I thought Seth Dillon countered in a really strong, but at the same time understanding way. And again, that sparked me to say, "Wow, I like how he came at that." He was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna say, yeah, sure, in these cases, abortion is fine." He was like, "Nope, I believe life starts at conception. It's gonna become a human. Doesn't matter when you take it out of the oven," like the Bill Burr joke. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's pretty funny. Go look it up. I think it's Bill Burr abortion joke. Um, but even in there, he makes the argument. He's like, "I'm pro-choice to a point. There's a point where it's like, that's a baby, and you shouldn't kill that. I just take it a step further and say, it's going to become a baby. You shouldn't kill that." So, anyways, that's where I'm at on that. What else is happening though? Anything big happening in the world right now? Man, one of these days we got to get more people on here because I'm struggling. And I don't really want to talk. If I wanted to talk about like different topics that I just wanted to talk about, I would just do this as a podcast, and that's kind of what it is right now. I understand I don't really have a huge audience, and I don't really have a lot of people that are like itching to get on here on a Wednesday at 6, but I'm here, and I'm just gonna try and be as consistent as possible with this, and that way we can continue to grow it. But yeah. What else is going on? What else is going on in the world? I'm trying to think. And there's so many things going on domestically, but I'm not really interested in any of them. There's so little that I'm interested in going on right now. Movie wise, there's like no movie that I'm excited about. TV wise, there's not really a show that I'm excited about. I mean, I finished the Terminal List. That was like the last kind of good show that I saw. If you haven't seen that, that's on Amazon Prime. That stars Chris Pratt. And I'm not a huge fan of Chris Pratt as an actor. I think he is getting there. I didn't really love him in Jurassic Park. I loved him in Parks and Rec when he was all comedy and stuff. But in these serious roles that he's been in, more dramas and stuff, it's been tough to kind of get through. But I do have to say, in the Terminal List show, he really improved. I really enjoyed his acting in this. I love the Terminal List book, so that probably influenced it a little bit. I just love the story in general. But that was a really good show. They did a really good job of adapting it where they made it their own, but they kept all of the core things to the show in play, or in the book in place, and just delivered in a really nice way. Gave a great cliffhanger, so hopefully season 2 will be in production, because that'll be really cool to see. I love some of the later books. The Terminal List book is great. It's kind of a typical revenge political thriller book, and not super original story-wise, but some of the later books are more original. So we'll see if they do them. I don't know. There's some stuff in those books that maybe might hit a little too close to home in terms of, in terms of like a pandemic that we just went through, because some of the books like have elements of bioweapons and things like that in them. So I don't know if that can get made in a show. They might have to change that up a little bit. But that was a good show. I'm not really excited about anything else coming out. September, The Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings series comes out. I'm not going to watch it. I'll definitely trash it, and I'll definitely watch a lot of the YouTubers that are trashing it, because I have no desire to see this fake Lord of the Rings thing that Amazon threw together and spent millions of dollars on, and it's going to be terrible. Because it doesn't stay true to Tolkien and his desire for his worlds. They bring politics into it. They bring identity politics into it, and race and gender and all of those things that Tolkien never talked about in his books, because he wanted the story to be king, and he didn't want there to be any distractions from that. And that's what these shows are going to be. A bunch of that. They're going to show a lot of stories that never happened in any of the books, appendices, any other notes that Tolkien had. They're making this story up from scratch, and go for it. If it was sold and presented as that, like just a Lord of the Rings spin-off fantasy show, I would have been okay with that. I would have been okay with it just being a spin-off fantasy show, because every fantasy book that has ever been written post Lord of the Rings is a spin-off of Lord of the Rings. Plain and simple. All the characters, all the storylines, all of the different heroes' journeys that are in all of these fantasy books are because of Lord of the Rings. I mean, he was the GOAT when it came to that. No question. No question. And if they would have just said, this is a cool fantasy film, we have a little bit of Lord of the Rings elements because we have some of the rights to it. We bought some of the rights to it. I've been like, all right, cool. I'll check it out. I'll see what it's about. But because they're like, this is Lord of the Rings, we're staying true to Tolkien, it's going to be awesome that it's Lord of the Rings. You remember it's Lord of the Rings? It's not going to have anything to do with Lord of the Rings, and it's not really going to, like, actually redo, like, it's not actually going to put on screen any of Tolkien's actual work. We're going to make it all up. But yeah, we have Lord of the Rings in the title, so it's going to be great. Like, I'm just not into it. I don't care about it. Yeah. Don't care about it. Don't care. But anyways, what else? What else? I don't think there's anything else. It's about at that 6:30 mark. I got to go do some other technology work. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But yeah, thanks for everybody for, if you're watching this back in the replay, thank you for watching this back. Instead of that, though, make sure next time you join me live, because that's the best way to do it. Right now, I'm going live on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll see you on the next episode. We'll just call it episodes. I don't know what live streams are actually called, so we're just going to call them episodes. So, all right.